choking. Some people think it doesn't exist in sports, that when it comes to the outcomes of games, the winner truly earned it. And to some degree, that's true. But let's put determinism to the side and look at what choking really is. It isn't getting outplayed. It isn't always blowing a lead or losing to an underdog. Oh no, it's juicier than that. Panic, bad decisions, stubbornness, ignorance, apathy, laziness, arrogance, poor preparation. Choking exists. So much of it, in fact, it was hard to narrow this list down, and we're gonna relive all of these awful moments. The biggest chokes in sports of the decade is coming up right after this. Bros, the math doesn't lie. Women absolutely prefer a man who takes care of his junk. It isn't just about the concept of personal grooming. It's about having the right tools to get the job done. That's where Manscaped comes in. If you're using old rusty plug-in clippers, do yourself a favor and throw that away. Cause you ain't getting manscaped, you're getting manscraped. Let me show you the proper way. Let's look at this fine piece of engineering. Do you see a cord? No. Their long-lasting battery allows you to take these waterproof clippers in the damn shower with you. That's the move right there. No cleanup. Oh, you worried about these blades rusting? Guess what, Nancy boy? They are made out of ceramic and they don't rust. And when they eventually get dull, replacing them is damn easy. You can even get replacement blades shipped to you automatically with Manscaped subscription options, where you can not only get all your blades replaced, but all your products like crop cleanser body soap, which is my favorite, sent right to your house without you getting up, lazy ass. So after this video, it's time to whack those weeds down and flex on yourself hard. Go to the link below, use my code 5points and get 20% off and free shipping. Oh, did I mention the Perfect Package 2.0 comes with all this other kick-ass stuff? Again, use the code 5points and we'll throw in the Shed travel bag and ship it to you for free. Come on, it's time to live on the top flight of dick clippers. Manscaped.com. Number 10, UVA versus UMBC. This one might have topped the list had UVA not gotten an additional year in the decade to redeem themselves. From 2013 to 2017, UVA became a basketball powerhouse. Their second 30-win season in school history gained them a number 2 seed and ended in the Sweet 16s. They chased that with another 30-win season, another 2 seed, and a second-round exit to Michigan State. Again. The next 2 years bumped in the Elite 8 and second round. In 2017, they were back to prove the haters wrong. A 31-win season, the number 1 overall seed, Destiny, awaited. In the first round, they squared up against the 16th-seeded UMBC Retrievers, a team named after a gregarious dog who finished second in the America East Conference. And from the opening tip, it was clear UVA was in trouble. Remember, in every tourney since 1939, no number 1 seed had ever lost to a 16th seed. And this wasn't Georgetown versus Princeton. This was an ass whooping. UMBC came out gunning, hitting half of their threes, out-rebounded the Cavs 31-21, and the most telling stat was UVA going 4 for 22 from deep as they wrestled with a chicken bone in their neck all night. All told, the old Yellers put down the Cavs by a final score of 74-54, and they didn't even need every break on the planet like UVA did the following year to show them what was up. This may be the only time a 16 will ever beat a 1. Number 9, the reverse sweep. When it comes to teams that don't like each other, fewer teams featured as much acrimony as the 2010s version of the Sharks and the Kings. Following a split of playoff series in 2011 and 2013, the two teams met up again in 2014 in the first round. Game 1 would be telling, as even though the Sharks jumped out to a 5-0 lead and chased Jonathan Quick, the Kings showed no quit and made it 5-3, ultimately losing 6-3. The Sharks cruised to 7-2 and 4-3 wins respectively and a 3-0 lead. However, this Kings team, who had won a cup 2 years prior as an 8th seed, weren't ready to throw in the towel. In LA, they fought off elimination 6-3. They pulled within 1 3-0 in San Jose. They tied the series 4-1 in LA, and it was clear the Sharks were in trouble. Only 3 times prior in the NHL had a team come back from 3-0, and Game 7 in San Jose had a lot of Sharks fans nervous. And this wasn't even close, as the Kings stomped the Sharks into hiding 5-1, completing the reverse sweep, and then 6 weeks later, hoisting the cup. You could say the Kings just got it together, but the Sharks had opportunities to put the series away, especially in Game 6, but bad luck and squandered power plays in Game 7 did them in. Number 8, the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. I mentioned arrogance earlier. When you're the defending champs, go out and win the most games in one season in NBA history and have the team who you whipped last year in the finals facing 3 straight elimination games, maybe you do get a little cocky. Once the memes began hitting the internet, it seemed like there was no shot that the Cavs would pull off an unlikely comeback, as the mighty 73-win Warriors looked to put the crown on a season not seen since 20 years earlier. But never count out LeBron and ref ball. Game 4 featured a turning point, as Draymond Green and his love of nut sacks helped extend the series so Adam Silver could woo some more China money. Green would be suspended for Game 5, then in Game 6, an epic foul fest that reeked of Kings-Lakers 2002. The stage was set for Game 7, and it seemed like the Warriors really wouldn't choke this away, would they? In true NBA scripted fashion, Game 7 was epic, and it headed down to the final possessions. Kyrie Irving bailed out LeBron and cast the Warriors into an angry fit, which led to Kevin Durant and back-to-back teabaggings of the Cavs. But for all their arrogance and trash-talking, the Warriors' dynasty ended with 3 rings instead of 6. Number 7, full read.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Nice to see you finally decided to bring a real expert onto your show. All right, Chiefs, big collapse. What do you do when you're seen as a coach that can't win the big game and you get run out of town? Well, you pick yourself up right off the mat and get back to work. In 2013, Andy Reid, in his first season as head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, had his team playing quietly great football in the shadows of Peyton Manning's record-setting season as he orchestrated the greatest offense the NFL had ever seen. Now, Kansas City jumped out to a 9-0 start behind fellow and unfairly labeled game-managing quarterback Alex Smith, who made hiring Reid look like the right move until they lost 5 of their last 7 games and limped into the playoffs as a wild card. This is called foreshadowing. Facing the Colts in the first round, things couldn't be going better for the Chiefs, jumping out to a 21-point lead at half, and the Colts coming out of half threw a rare Andrew Luck interception. And the Chiefs were ready to seemingly deliver the knockout blow with their ensuing touchdown. Seemingly. Now the Colts mounted a furious comeback, a touchdown drive, an Alex Smith fumble, another touchdown drive, a forced 3-and-out. Heck, at 5:50, Luck threw another interception, and the Chiefs had to settle for 3 points. The Colts got the ball and ran down the field again. Touchdown, another stalled Chiefs drive. Then the turning point, the thing that has haunted the Chiefs forever. Their defense. Last year they had Patrick Mahomes playing what many hailed as one of the best QB performances ever, but their defense cost them a chance at getting to the Super Bowl. Dating back to 2013, the Chiefs have remained clueless on how to build a defense with a masterful Andy Reid leading the offensive charge. And trailing by 10, the Colts marched into the Chiefs' territory. On the Kansas City 2, they did the smart thing and handed the ball off to Donald Brown, who fumbled. However, Andrew Luck, being the Stanford grad that he is, didn't quit on the play and punched the loose ball in for a score. It was now 41-38 with over 10 minutes to go. Step up to the counter and place your order, Andy, because the only thing you can make disappear faster than a 28-point lead is 28 chicken wings. But the Chiefs, they did the right thing. They ate up clock. However, they inexplicably passed on 2nd and 3rd down on their subsequent drive, ending in a field goal. Okay, they're up 44-38 with 5 minutes and 36 seconds to go. You should be able to hold the opposing team from scoring a touchdown. But in one play, that 28-point lead was gone, all because of T.Y. Hilton, who Andy Reid forgot to game plan for because he just kept seeing T-C-B-Y ice cream when he looked at the All-22. Now, the Chiefs' last drive looked how you would expect it from a team that just blew a 28-point lead, a microcosm of their season and the game. In 2 plays, they were in Colts territory. 4 plays later, the game was over, and the second largest comeback in playoff history was complete. So keep trying, Andy Reid. You've got Patty Mahomes now, and maybe Steve Spagnuolo is the right defensive coordinator for you.
Number 6, lightning strikes. It's one thing to blow a huge lead, it's another to be the season-long favorite, shove your chips forward for an all-or-nothing run, and absolutely not show up at all. That's what the Tampa Bay Lightning did to close out their decade, and after acquiring every ex-Ranger they could find and putting up the most points in their conference for the second straight year, they got a dream matchup against a Columbus Blue Jacket team that limped into the playoffs. So when they jumped out to a 3-goal lead in the first period against their former coach, John Tortorella's team, you could see reporters getting ready to bear the brunt from one of Tort's rants. But then Nick Foligno scored, then David Savard. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and that was choke 1. And from then on, it wasn't even close. The ex-Rangers showed why they didn't win a cup on Broadway, as their run and gun style got clogged up by the Blue Jackets' gutsy, methodic play. 5-3, 3-1, and 7-3, the Lightning, heavy favorites to win it all, were swept out of the first round like dust in a clean room. I guess you could say Torts weathered the storm. Number 5, I'll blow your house down. A lot of sports decisions nowadays are based on analytics and percentages. But what happens when the percentage is 0? The Rockets found out in 2018 when they hoisted up enough bricks to protect an entire pig farm from the big bad wolf. Donut for 27. Straight. Even worse, it was in a Game 7 where the traveling man James Harden could shed his lifelong label as a choker. Here's some things people forget. The Rockets were actually up 15 and planning their finals itinerary when the streak started. They proceeded to miss 25 straight while the Warriors hit 11 of 21 and flipped the lead to 13 in their favor. The futility started in the second quarter and lasted all the way to 6:30 left in the fourth quarter. In total, they went 7 for 44 from beyond the arc, with Trevor Ariza at 0 for 9, and during the streak, Harden went 0 for 10. A choke like that falls squarely on everyone involved. Don't blame the wolf. Number 4, a perfect season.
Bitter rivals, bitter history, a leader of men, a history of choking. In the wildcard round, 2 teams that hated each other with such passion they literally wanted to take each other's heads off met in the playoffs. The Bengals, hoping to end their historic playoff drought, fell behind early and late into the third quarter, 15-0 without Andy Dalton or Giovanni Bernard. Some people forget about this. On the strength of strong defense and AJ McCarron's arm, the Bengals furiously mount a comeback to take the lead 16-15 with a few fleeting minutes left. Captain Fatfuck, sidelined with injury, can only helplessly watch as his replacement, Landry Jones, throws a pick into the arms of Vontaze Burfict. As he trots into the locker room in celebration, Cincinnati will get their first playoff win in 25 years. If they get the first down here, they can do their typical bungling and fumble the ball on the first play. That sounds incredible. Now the Steelers have another chance. Captain Fatfuck is injected with more painkillers than the average rodeo bull on a good day. He slowly moves both himself and the ball up the field. Thankfully, they're not moving fast enough for their sake. As long as Cincy doesn't fuck everything up, oh, who am I kidding, they fuck everything up. Our lovely friend Vontaze emerged from the locker room and decided he wanted to try out homicide on a defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty. Of course, this wouldn't be complete without an appearance by the Pac-Man himself. Joey Porter is somehow out on the field because trolling or forcing a reaction. It worked though. Adam Jones got charged with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for touching the ref. I was stunned. The Bungles had that game won. All they had to do was not do that! Thanks to their own self-destruction, the Steelers kicked the game-winning field goal and advanced to the next round. If you ask any fan of that sad sack of a team, you will find out they are still broken from that game. I don't blame them, especially when the organization does nothing about it for a few more years. And now for the punchline. This game is probably the Bungles' highlight over the past 5 years. At least Mike Brown will die soon. Maybe.
Number 3, the Double Doink. Yeah, I had to do it. Did you Bears fans really think you could make it through this entire video unscathed? Poor Cody Parkey, maybe the worst luck ever, but if you've ever been around unlucky people in your life, you know it isn't always bad fortune. The 12-4 Bears faced the 9-7 Eagles in the first round. Big Dick Nick versus Mitch Kissintitties. We all know how it ends, but what have we forgotten? The Bears led 15-10 with 4:48 left in the game. Then their vaunted defense gave up a 12-play, 60-yard TD drive, including the score on 4th and 2. Cody Parkey had been a perfect 3 for 3 up until they trotted him out there with 5 seconds left. What makes this choke isn't bad luck. Oh no, Parkey had plenty of that. He had hit 6 uprights earlier in the year. What makes it a choke is he hit the practice one before a timeout. He was a good kicker, but he got iced. It was also blocked. Then, yeah, actually it's more hilarious than anything. Number 2, nothing to play for. It's hard to be American sometimes, isn't it? We're so big and bad. We have to be the best at everything, including soccer. Whether you care about the sport or not, know this: the USA, with all of its resources, should be able to be at least in the top 30 in the world at everything, if not math. And headed into their October 10th, 2017 matchup with the tiny island of Trinidad and Tobago, all the US had to do was knock off last place Trinidad and advance to Russia. Yeah, no. The US started off pretty rough by scoring into their own goal 17 minutes in. Then Alvin Jones made it 2-0. Remember, Trinidad was in dead last and eliminated from advancement. They were basically playing for just pride. After the US made it 2-1, they inserted the Cody Parkey of US soccer, Clint Dempsey. He got stopped in the 69th minute and hit a post in the 77th. A last-ditch attempt was thwarted in the 88th minute. The US took the L and failed to qualify after Panama won 2-1. Of course, this loss spawned an epic rant by Taylor Twellman.
Because this is an utter embarrassment with the amount of money that is in Major League Soccer and in this sport. You can't get a draw, a tie against Trinidad?
First world problems, eh? Before we get to the number 1, and unless you live under a rock, you know what it is, here are some honorable mentions. Now for your number 1 choke of the decade, 28-3. You knew this was coming, but before we get to the collapse of all collapses, we had 2 28-3 meltdowns in just this year. Michigan State blew a 28-3 lead to Illinois in November, and the following week, Baylor blew a 28-3 lead to Oklahoma, which may have ended up costing them a trip to the college football playoff. At halftime, Oklahoma players watched highlights of Super Bowl 51. And let's talk about that game, shall we? When I opened this video, I talked about what makes a choke, and this game is the defining example of a team cramming debris into their airway and watching themselves die. In Super Bowl 51, the Falcons benefited in the first half from turnovers that led to scores. However, seconds before half, they surrendered a field goal to make it 21-3. The Falcons had a drive in the third quarter that extended the lead to 28-3 with 8:31 left, spawning this great screen cap. And from here is where they made a terrible chain of decisions, outright panicked, and pretty much outsmarted themselves. On the next drive, they let Brady run for 15 yards, convert a 4th and 3, and even after surrendering a TD, they benefited from a missed extra point. Desperate New England then attempted an onside kick and failed. Did we mention terrible decision making? After recovering, the Falcons got the ball on the Pats' 32. Rather than run the ball and get it closer and take the points, the Falcons chose to pass, commit a hold, and pass again. 3 points gone. You got the feeling, though, that they thought the game was over and this was just motions. After a New England field goal, Matt Ryan fumbled. Again, decision making as Atlanta, still with the huge lead, refused to eat clock. The Pats cashed in on that and 2 points, leading to the moment where the collapse was nearly complete. That same aggressiveness the Falcons showed earlier seemed to pay off when Matt Ryan led the team down to the Pats' 22-yard line with 4:40 left in the game. We all thought it was over. 3 runs and a field goal would have given the Falcons an 11-point lead, the other side of the 2-minute warning, or the Pats with no timeouts down 2 scores. Instead, after a do-nothing run, the Falcons chose to pass the ball. Sack. Pass again. Holding. Pass again. Incomplete. Punt to New England. And I think we know the rest of the story. You can say I am looking back at the Falcons in hindsight, but we don't remember the near disasters teams survived. We only remember the ones that ended up losing. The most frustrating part is that the Falcons thought that they were smarter than everyone, and that they had to be clever to win. Gutless, stupid, unacceptable, the biggest choke of the decade, if not all time. But hey, enjoy the memes and move on. Looks like the Falcons Twitter account has, and yeah, choking is real. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to Urinating Tree and That's Good Sports, and don't forget to check out our sponsor Manscaped and use my code 5points for 20% off your first order. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.